It is quite a delegation going over to Beijing. Do we know what they're going to be asking for, Kevin?
Well, President Trump tweeting about that delegation heading to China on the second half of this week earlier this morning. And he says, very much like North Korea, this should have been fixed years ago, not now. But same with other countries in NAFTA, but it will all get done. Great potential for the USA. Now, joining Secretary Mnuchin in China this week will be Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, U.S. Trade Ambassador Bob Lighthizer, as well as the President's chief economist, Larry Kudlow, Peter Navarro, Senior Economic Advisor, and the Ambassador to China, Terry Branstad. So it's an ideological, diverse group that's heading over there, to say the least. But while all of this is brewing with China, the fallout coming from the EU has continued this morning about the president's decision to push back that decision on whether or not to exempt countries from increasing tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. The EU putting out a statement saying they feel they should be permanently exempted. Quote, "We will not negotiate under threat." Meanwhile, the United Kingdom also saying that they are going to be working with the European Union on this, saying that they remain concerned. Now, over the weekend, UK Prime Minister Theresa May reportedly speaking directly with French President Emmanuel Macron, as well as German Chancellor Angela Merkel, about the trade issue. But all of this comes, meanwhile, while here on here in Washington and on Capitol Hill, Republicans urging this president to reconsider. We talk a lot about commodities like steel and aluminum, as well as soybeans. But sorghum, Jonathan, is also something I have my eye on.
So, Kevin, what's really interesting here is there is a spat with Europe. Sure, we expect that. But also internally, within this delegation that goes across to Beijing, they need to be negotiating with themselves on a plane over as to what ultimately they all agree on, don't they?
I think that's such a great, crucial point, because people like Chief Economist Larry Kudlow, as well as Economic Advisor Peter Navarro, are ideologically different, to say the least. Now, they have both said publicly that they have a great personal relationship, but on policy, there are substantial key differences from a globalist perspective and a nationalist perspective, respectively. All of that has to be worked out, especially when President Xi Jinping is ordering sorghum ships to be turned around mid-route and sent back here. The politics of this, just very quickly, I would note, is directly going to impact potentially the midterm elections in the Midwestern part of this country. And that's what the Chinese have their eyes on, is that Midwestern, the farmland, agricultural communities here in the United States, about how that directly is ground zero of the potential trade war between the U.S. and China.